So today we're going to be talking about education hacks. All right, now I know there's a lot of people out there that maybe didn't want to go to school and pursue a higher level of education. If that's you, maybe this video is not for you. But what I'm talking about is the person that's considering maybe expanding their education, maybe they're just out of high school, whatever it happens to be, right? So I want to share with you my story. So when I graduated high school, I had went and did a couple overnight stays at a couple different colleges nearby. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, I was too scared to actually go to a full-blown university and stay there. And with the hindsight that I have now, I can tell you that that was a great decision, right? So I'm going to tell you why that was a great decision in a moment. But what I ended up doing was going to a local community college, got about, I want to say about a year done there, and then transferred to another community college, got another year done. I ended up moving, that's why I went to a different school. And then I ended up moving again and ended up transitioning to another school. All right, so now we got three. Completed my prerequisites there, so my first 2 years, and then I transferred those credits over to Suffolk University in Boston, where I graduated with a degree in business management and a minor in entrepreneurship. All right, so this whole circuit that I just talked about, I ended up coming out with about $24,000 in debt. Now, for anybody out there that knows about schools in Boston, Massachusetts, our prices for tuition are sky high. That particular school is about $30,000 per semester. So how did I come out the other end only paying $24,000? That's what we're going to be talking about today. So, first thing, when you're considering advancing your education out of high school, right? Firstly, congratulations, that's a great thing to do. It's going to improve your life in so many ways, even more so than just the education and maybe getting a better job. The discipline that it's going to teach you, man, translatable throughout all facets of your life. But you're in that position, you don't know what to do. Do you go stay at a four-year school? Are your parents paying for it? In my case, my parents weren't paying for a thing, right? Or do you go the community college route? All right, so let's weigh out both options here. So option number one, you go to a four-year university. All right, you go right into it. You got to think about dorms. You got to think about relocation costs, provided it is, in that type of geographical location where you do need to relocate. So we need to think about these additional costs and these additional expenses that we're taking on top of the tuition itself. Now, if you're in the position where maybe you got a scholarship for athletics or a scholarship for your academic performance, that's tremendous. Take full advantage of that. This video is predominantly directed at those that weren't afforded those luxuries, maybe because they didn't make the best decisions in high school. All right, but still, coming out the other end, you decide you want to get a better education, right? So you're thinking, I want to go to a four-year university directly out of school. All right, so issue number one, that's going to cost you a lot of money. All right, I think that's the given there, right? I mean, it's not uncommon nowadays for people to harbor $100,000 in student loan debt. It's pretty staggering, and it's a major hindrance to advancing your life when you come out with that degree. A lot of people that go into transition straight out of high school into a four-year college don't really take that into account, that when you do come out the other end, you're going to have this massive debt. You're not going to be earning that much right away, and it could take you 5, 10, even 20 years to pay that debt off, all the while limiting your ability to progress in your life, maybe holding you back from getting a mortgage or maybe from paying off some credit card debt, whatever it happens to be, but it's going to be a major hindrance there, right? So, there's two types of people. One that just goes and does it mainly for the parties or mainly for just the social interaction, and there's the other folks that had the opportunity to go as a result of maybe their parents, for instance, right? There's a lot of different scenarios out there, but let's play on these two, right? So you really need to sit down and weigh out what's important to you. Is it important to pay to go to those parties, to live on a campus, to have your independence? Or is it more important to you to save that money and doing it a little bit more of a conservative route, taking that money that you saved and applying it to other things later on down the line? You see the distinction there? So you could come out the other end having low student debt or maybe no debt, or you can come out with this massive debt that you're going to have to pay off. All right, this is crippling people all over the country because of the amount of debt and not having a good understanding of how that's going to impact your life later on. Impulsively, when you graduate high school, you just want to go dive right into it. You're not really thinking about the financial repercussions that are later on down the line and what you're truly signing yourself up for, right? So what I want to tell you about is a couple hacks, all right, mainly two. First one is the community college route. If any of you are out there are considering going to a 4-year institution, I would strongly advise against it if possible, because you're going to be able to get that same education for your first 2 years, your freshman and sophomore year of college, because it's basic fundamental courses anyway, and it doesn't matter where you take them. All right, so you could, rather than pay $60,000 to a 4-year institution, you could go to a community college and maybe only pay a few $1,000s. All right, so that's benefit number one. By doing that, you're going to save and pocket a lot of money in the future that you can use for other things. Maybe a down payment on a house. Maybe pay for your wedding later on down the line if you are so inclined. Whatever it happens to be. But you're saving that money. All right? It's not going to be a sunk cost. It's not going to be this massive debt burden that you're going to have to carry with you for the next 20 years. All right? So, let's say you go the community college route. All right? You do your undergrad studies. Maybe you're not 100% committed. Maybe you're just going because your parents push you to. Maybe you're not 100% bought into the idea, so your grades are not the best, okay? So if you find yourself in that position at a 4-year institution where you originally went, you're in kind of a rough spot here, because now your GPA is going to be reflective upon graduation of those first 2 years, okay? Now, had you gone to a community college or a different educational institution initially and transferred those credits over, a little magical thing that nobody tells you happens. Your GPA is reset. That's right. So, if you go from one school, transition to another, GPA gets reset. All right? Same thing happens every time you transfer. Now, that's not to say that if you did screw up the first year, let's say, transfer to another school, and then you wanted to transfer to a major institution, that the likelihood of you getting approved for admission is dependent upon that prior year because of that reset GPA. It doesn't work that way for this situation. For actual admission to a 4-year institution, when you go to transfer those credits over, okay, it is the culmination of every school that you went to up until that point. I just want to make that clear. However, provided you get acceptance, when you graduate, what's your GPA at that point? Because that's what's really important when you graduate, right? What you can use on a job resume when you're out there applying and really show that you're a worthy candidate for a particular position. It resets. So I'm going to tell you my situation, okay? So I had gone to a local community college, as I mentioned, rolled it over, okay? So by doing that, I reset my GPA. Cumulatively, I think my GPA was about a 2.8, all right, so not very good. The only reason it was a 2.8, by the way, is because in the last year, I really picked it up because I acknowledged the fact that I did want to keep pursuing my education, and I was doing it for myself. Whole nother top video on that, but I was able to roll it over, all right, at a 2.8, and I was able to take advantage of scholarships and something called the Mass Transfer Program. All right, take a look into your state, speak with your guidance counselor, speak with any representative at a local college, and I'm sure they could point you in the right direction to programs that are applicable for you. But in my situation, I took advantage of the Mass Transfer Program. All right, so that entitled me to a massive reduction in tuition costs as a result of transferring in. So I was able to save a ton of money that way. All right, and that's also what I want to talk about here, is when you do transfer, all right, you're going to not only save money, you're going to be able to save your GPA if you're in a rough spot, all right? And your GPA is going to reset anyway, so think about that as you're going through and pursuing your education. Number one, save money. Number two, roll your GPA over. It will reset, and when you get that degree, you'll have a nice accolade on there. For myself, I did graduate cum laude with a 3.7 GPA, and had I factored in my GPA from the first two schools, probably wouldn't have been a 3.7. So I want you guys to think about that. Please comment, like, subscribe down below. Feel free to visit my website, RTBTransformations.com. I do offer personal training as well as personal development coaching. If you guys are interested, feel free to reach out. I do offer free consultations. And with that, I am out of here. See you later, guys.